Welcome students to another day in the food lab. Today we're going to be taking and working with a milk product. Milk, of course, is a complete protein food. We know that because it comes from an animal source. And we're going to be making this thing called a cheddar queso, which is a cheese sauce. And then we'll be putting it with some tortilla chips. Previous to filming, I've gone ahead and assembled all of my ingredients and measured them out, as well as I've gone ahead and started doing step number 1, which is to heat something called half and half in a medium saucepan. You can maybe see that it's starting to steam. So I've heated that and I'm stirring constantly. I'm scraping the bottom of the pan because the protein that's found in the milk product is extremely sensitive to heat. I'm going to keep it on a lower temperature here at school. I don't want you any higher than medium. Right now at my heat, I've got it on a medium low to pull this up. If I use too high of a temperature, protein becomes tough, chewy, and dry, or in this case, it becomes stuck onto the bottom of the pan and it burns. That's its form of being annoyed by using high temperatures. So you kind of baby this stuff. The next thing that I'm going to be doing is taking this cheese right here called Velveeta. I'm going to cut it into a couple of pieces, and I'm just using a regular old table knife. It's a very soft cheese. It's a processed cheese product, and then I'm going to put it in here. I'm going to talk about it in half a second, but let me get this in. I'm going to go ahead and start stirring that, and the hot half and half is going to start melting that down. Velveeta is like I said, a processed cheese product, which basically means that they've taken cheese, regular cheese, and they've played around with it a little bit. They've processed it one more time. Originally, it was a blend of several different cheeses. This processed cheese, and it has a name, American cheese. That's what it is. Velveeta is just a name brand of it, and it came about in the early 1900s out of New York, believe it or not, which is not necessarily known for great cheese making. And the story has it that there was a dad who was helping his son get established in a career, and the son decided, I guess, on cheese making. The dad said, well, what we're going to do is play around with some tail ends of already made cheeses and blend them together. They did, and they came up with this very different product. American cheese, you might know it as Kraft Singles, you might know it as Velveeta, but Velveeta's kind of got a little bit of change over the history, but the thing that's nice about it is that Velveeta is going to take and help keep this creamy and smooth and not let it get lumpy glumpy, which would happen if we were just going to be using cheddar cheese. It's a little more tricky. I've got 1 cup of cheddar cheese right over here, and I've grated it, and that's to help it melt down a little bit more quickly. Cheddar cheese is a cheese that was developed in a small town in England called Cheddar. It's true. And it quick became an American favorite long before you or even I were born. The thing that's nice about cheddar, that it made it so that it was a hit right off the bat, is that it could handle either really dry or really moist environments. It also will be okay in hot or cold, and some of the other cheeses were a little bit more picky and finicky. If you've got a good eye down here on this, you can see that the cheddar cheese is starting to melt. It's kind of stringy and stretchy, and as the Velveeta breaks in there with it, it's going to smooth it out and give it a nice creamy texture, as well as adding this kind of cheese in here, which is a soft cheese called cream cheese. Cream cheese doesn't actually make it into the dairy group because of its fat content, but that is also going to help keep this queso, this cheese dip, going to be nice and smooth. We're going to use the fat with that. All right, our instructions are telling us we have to just be a little bit patient at this moment. So we're not going to go above medium temperature, and we're just going to sit and stir this until all of the ingredients have come together. Again, this is made with a lot of dairy products, whether they, like I said, necessarily make it into the dairy group or not. These are all dairy products, and so we have to be careful with the temperature. Temperature is a big to-do here that we want to take and be patient with. Sometimes people in their hurry think I'll just go ahead and cook it on a super high temperature, no big deal. It is a big deal when it comes to these dairy products. They're too easy to overcook, get too high of a temperature, and they can scorch. That's when it burns on the bottom of a pan. They can go lumpy. They become a mess. And I'm still just going to go ahead and keep stirring this. You can see it's nice and getting blended in. I've still got my cream cheese that's in there that wants to just take a minute to melt down, so you have to be patient. After all these cheeses are melted, we're going to start adding in some other ingredients pretty quick. We're going to be adding in a salsa, and the salsa that I've chosen to work with for us here at school is a green salsa, or salsa verde, and I've chosen a medium hotness to it. Can you use any type of salsa? The answer to that is yes. I'm just choosing green for a taste sensation, so you can be exposed to something a little bit new and different. So this is getting all nice and smooth. Can you see that? That's just beautiful. Got a nice blend of all those different dairy products. Again, they're a complete protein. They contain all of the essential amino acids in them, which is going to help build, maintain, and repair our body cells and tissues. Okay, looks like we're pretty good. So now we're going to go ahead and add in this salsa. I've pre-measured this at 1/2 of a cup. Scrape that out. That's going to give it some kick. It says I'm also going to be adding in some jalapenos. This is going to give it an additional little kick. That's all pre-measured, and it says 1/8 of a cup. I want you to think for a second how many tablespoons that is, because most of us don't have 1/8 of a teaspoon measuring spoon. If you said that that is going to be 2 tablespoons, you are correct. I'm going to add in both chili, which is a darker red, and cumin into this. You'll recognize I think the name of chili. You might not recognize cumin as a ingredient, but you will recognize its flavor. All right, we're going to mix that all together until it's all nice and smooth. All nice and smooth. Again, as soon as it's hot enough and everything's blended, you are going to call it good. That, my dear friends, is a beautiful queso or cheese dip. Turn off my heat. I'm going to pull that off, and I'm going to tell you if it tastes good or not. Take a little bit of a tortilla chip. I'll dip that in there. Give it a nice little piece. Sorry you're not tasting this, but you will. Blow on it because it's hot. Little bit hot. Little bit hot. Delish. Delish. Enjoy. Remember, lower temperatures because it's protein. All right, we'll see ya. Bye-bye.